And I yield back, and I now recognize Mr. Lucas for 5 minutes for your questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Dr. Nozick, in your prepared testimony, you stated that the EPA rule had the positive qualities of identifying the importance of transparency and reproducibility of research, but had the negative quality of suggesting that evidence failing to meet these principles should not be used in policymaking. I appreciate your effort to provide constructive input on this policy, as well as your work to better institutionalize transparency in the research community. Given your expertise, can you provide additional insights into what we would like to see, what you would like to see in any science transparency policy, both at the EPA and government-wide, to make it more practical for all policymakers and researchers?
Yes, thank you for that question. So as I noted in the statements, a general hope for policymaking is that openness is the default assumption, is that part of the value and opportunity that we have, given the modern ability to share information very widely, is to provide tools and resources and services to make much more of the research process itself, not just the end conclusions, more available to all. In terms of implementation issues related to that policy, to the extent that there can be provisions that address the issues that have been raised by the whole panel on managing privacy, this would be a significant advantage for the applicability of the rule to maximize the availability and use of research evidence. So, for example, data enclaves that manage the preservation of data, but still the privacy of that data for ability for independent others to confirm its validity is a means of potentially promoting the credibility and overall reproducibility of findings while simultaneously managing that with privacy concerns.
Your research involves developing technology solutions to help researchers incorporate transparent mechanisms as they conduct their research. One example is the Open Science Framework, an online data management tool that allows scientists to store their data privately as they conduct their research, but then allows them to easily make the entire project publicly accessible once their work is completed. The OSF also allows individual researchers to set the parameters of disclosing data, establishing tiered and more limited access to data that may require additional controls, such as personal, sensitive information. How could a federal agency use OSF or similar technology to improve data transparency?
So some opportunities for using OSF and the many other tools and services that support similar aims would be building into grant requirements what the provisions are for the preservation of the research planning, the materials, the data, and the outcomes that were produced from that work, and under what conditions that data must be preserved over a period of time, and which parts of it can be made publicly accessible to the maximum extent possible. So many agencies that provide funding for federal research already have been making advances for data management plans being an important part of the proposal process for grants. NIH just released some new plans for their data management planning, for example. Continuing to support those efforts would be very useful.
So along that line, a similar tiered access approach could be useful in ensuring appropriate data protections for all federal research.
Yes.
With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Mr. Tonko, you are recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have here 11